from the nation's capital, your most reliable source for news, national, regional, and the rest of the world. Welcome to Kairi FM's Major News. Here's your presenter.
Good evening. In the headlines, Domlec assures customers of some relief on their bill by August 2022. IOM Dominica pleased with progress at simulation exercise to test the Dominica's disaster readiness plan. AFDB president says food, energy, and health security are priorities for Caribbean and Africa to overcome mutual global challenges. And World Trade Organization members secure unprecedented package of trade outcome at meeting. We'll bring you the details of these and other stories in a moment.
Can you see the World Wrestling? Makapale World Wrestling Championship. I'm talking about onlatekika lite, cockstay, hand-to-hand combat, higas, high fall with rising fuel prices. The world is trying to shoot down, bring down its head, but it can force it tetlianho. How do we in Dominica deal with that situation? Ebe Domlec can kuwashi all the customers, pupa gas pi electricity. Use electricity wisely and save. Remember the Domlec energy saving tips. Domlec have a tout pay to provide the best prices available and welcomes the promotion of green energy, nature's contribution to your energy bill. But kisan ou ka fe? Est ou ka lite pi lestan lateya, même si se mode or gwafinye ou sa, gwafinye di gwabjam of the fuel price by putting up the lights to pack a seville, that will help. Domlec, the power to serve you better.
Get your money, get your money, get your money. Get your money, get your money, get your money. Get your money, get your money, get your money. Quick and fast. Hurry up. Borrow up to $20,000, go to the cash. Pay nothing down, get a call out. Flexible payment, same day approval. Get anything you want for 2022 with codes ready cash. Get your money, get your money, get your money. Get your money, get your money, get your money. Vacation. Get your money, get your money, get your money. Quick and fast. Hurry up. Codes ready cash. We are ready when you are.
Hey Dominica, do you need a better plan? Well, Digicell's got the plan for you. Try our 3-day Prime bundle for $12 and get unlimited Digi-to-Digi calls, 150 minutes for local original calls, 3 gigabytes data to surf, stream, or use any way you like, extra data for messaging on your favorite social apps, plus 21 gigabytes data to use your favorite Digicel apps. Activate a 3-day Digicel Prime bundle today in My Digicel or dial *140#. Digicel, better together.
Welcome back, and we say good evening and welcome to our listeners on Variety Radio in Antigua, Barbuda and Flow Television Channel 119 in St. Lucia. In the news this evening, the rising cost of fuel has now become a major concern for Domlec customers and the nation by extension. The Russian-Ukraine war has been blamed for high fuel costs and other commodities over the last few months. Domlec, the sole electricity provider in Dominica for now, has been conducting educational sessions on its Power Talk, explained the fuel surcharge and what has caused the change, and what customers can do to keep the electricity costs lower. Clyde Edwards is Chief Financial Officer at Domlec.
We have seen an increase in fuel costs. I think in May, the fuel surcharge was 68.21 cents per kilowatt hour. And for most people, let me just explain, that is the unit that the customer uses. That's how it's measured. In June, we've seen that increase to 72.65 cents per kilowatt hour. And that is because of the increase in the price of electricity. We've had to adjust because, as you know, fuel does not form part of the rate base when we are determining the rate that the IRC gives to Domlec, and it is a pass-through. Really and truly, we take the cost of fuel for the month before and we collect it from the customer in the following month. Just to advise the customers that we have not changed rates since 2007. So the rates have remained the same. And for different customers, you have blocks. So you have, for instance, for the domestic customer, the first 100 units is VAT-free. We have other blocks where the different rates apply, and the VAT will take over from that point on. So really and truly, the key components are the base rates, the fuel surcharge, and VAT. That's what makes up the total bill.
The Independent Regulatory Commission has proposed the new rules and changes to procedures for setting and reviewing tariffs for electricity supply here. Mr. Edwards says the process started in April of this year.
We've been back and forth, as you know. The process had started previously. There was a dispute between the IRC and DOMLEC that ended up in court, and then we restarted the process after Hurricane Maria. So officially, April 15th was the start of the process. Now, legally, the process has to go through a number of steps. It has a number of time periods before we actually file the documentation with the IRC. After we file, IRC has 60 days to review public consultation, a number of different stuff, before they can agree on what the rate is for us. So it is in an early stage, but we do expect that to conclude. By October 15th, we expect to submit all the necessaries to the IRC, and we expect them to take about 60 days to review. We're looking at close to the end of the year, and hopefully then we will have what is agreed between the IRC and DOMLEC. So we have to present to them what we feel is a proper return on investment, and they use all of that information, they review it, and they determine whether or not an increase in rate is justified, whether it remains the same, etc. So essentially, the process is ongoing, and we do expect by the end of the year to have some decisions in relation to that.
He says DOMLEC is looking at ways the company could ease the strain on customers. However, the impact will not be very great. Therefore, to get a great impact for customers, DOMLEC will have to reduce or eliminate the fuel costs completely.
Now, we've always said that 2030, we expect to be totally green by 2030. So there are a number of things we have in place. So as we mentioned, the solar, which we are looking at. We have the hydro that is expected to be back on by the end of August, full capacity by December. We have the geothermal, which is expected to come on stream, and that again will take up quite a bit of the capacity that we use. We also in discussion with government, there's a project that we should be doing a battery storage in Fokole, which basically during the day while the generator is operating, it charges the battery, so you can use the batteries now as standby power, as backup. You can then in the evening you can use it because your batteries will be fully charged. So a number of customers tell me, oh, DOMLEC is not doing anything in relation to greening, maybe the timelines are too long, but the fact of the matter is there's quite a bit going on in the background. We didn't come out and say, oh, we're doing battery storage, we're doing solar, we have, but all of these things are happening, and with the sole intention to reduce the fuel. Because DOMLEC doesn't benefit directly in terms of an increased price because of that. It only takes off the fuel surcharge, which is basically the charge to the customer.
Clyde Edwards, the Chief Financial Officer at DOMLEC. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment has recognized the officers from the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force and the Fire and Ambulance Services for their relentless service and hard work during the COVID-19 pandemic to now. Health Minister Dr. Irvin McIntyre told the ceremony at the Fort Young Hotel that the successful management of the COVID-19 pandemic was to a large extent related to the shared passion and camaraderie that both health and non-health workers had in common.
Over the past 2.5 years, we have been confronted by the COVID-19 pandemic, a health crisis which was unknown to all of us and presented different and new challenges. These challenges also presented opportunities for us to showcase our love for country and our ability to work together for the common good of us all. These challenges also gave us the opportunity to learn new approaches dealing with health emergencies. But most of all, it underlined the fact that with a collective sense of public concern and working together, great results can be achieved. I am fully aware of the sacrifices that you all made and are still doing so as we continue to battle this COVID-19 pandemic. History will record your immense contribution to the fight against COVID-19, and the government and people of Dominica will forever be grateful for your unwavering diligence in carrying out your duties. One of the major pillars of health transformation is health preparedness and response. This pandemic has allowed us to build capacity and to be better prepared for the future if need be. As a government, we will continue our health preparedness activities with the view of attaining sustainable resilience in health. In this regard, we have embarked on many programs together with regional, international health organizations in achieving this goal. It has been a comprehensive fight against COVID-19 pandemic and very interesting, having to work with different non-health departments to achieve the common goal.
Dr. McIntyre says, as health minister, he learned several new things from this level of togetherness.
The truth is, more often than not, when we have challenges within our departments, we would be surrounded by colleagues from our own departments. But in this particular fight, it involved everyone, whether it's the police, whether it's the fire and ambulance, whether it's DASPA, whether it's immigration. And to me, that was one of the more interesting parts about it, that we could all come together to achieve this level of success. We've learned quite a bit. I've learned a lot from this personally, and I think even our healthcare workers and even the non-healthcare workers, those on the front line, the coming together, I think we learned quite a bit, and that makes us even more prepared for the future. That has made us build capacity. So in that way, I'm very optimistic when I see the sort of diligence and the services and the energy and the passion that was put into it. It's a health emergency nonetheless. When I see the non-health frontline workers with us on the front line, that was very, very comforting. And it just puts us in a better place. And I'm really optimistic that in the future, not that we need another pandemic, but in the future, God forbid, that we'll be better prepared. We'll build capacity. So this was really one of the more interesting parts and really encouraging parts about it.
Health Minister Dr. Irvin McIntyre. The Office of Disaster Management is on day 2 today of a simulation exercise to test the country's readiness during a disaster, particularly the hurricane season. The 2-day exercise began on Thursday, utilizing the full use of the Regional Hurricane Center in Jimmet. The exercise is a collaborative effort of the local government department, the Ministry of National Security, and the Office of Disaster Management. Chairperson of the NEPO Subcommittee for Emergency Shelters is Glenroy Touser. He says the exercise was in an effort to also qualify gaps in shelter management and gauge the country's readiness. Mr. Touser says another critical area is to ensure there is an evacuation plan in place.
Within that plan, we would have already identified the vulnerable people and who have to be moved. There has to be within that evacuation plan a point of where the pick-up point, so to speak, where do people gather to be taken. There has to be a situation of identifying who are the people who are going to take these people to and accompany them, to the shelter in the respective other communities that may be identified. And clearly to be mindful of the fact that each of the individuals have specific needs, and there has to be that has to be communicated with the shelter where they are going to be accommodated, the shelter management personnel. So that is important to understand the needs of those persons who are going to be taken to a shelter from outside the community, and that information has to be transferred or channeled to the management of the shelter and the community that they're going to be taken in. And
that was chairperson of the NEPO Subcommittee for Emergency Shelters, Glenroy Touser. Mr. Touser says they've had to also look into some communities with no emergency shelters such as Coriho, where people would definitely have to be moved.
The Coriho and the Kolbistru, we are moving people in Layu Park to the regional shelter in Jimit, and things of that nature. Clearly, the people have to move, and they have to move early, but it has to be coordinated. So you do not want to find yourself in a situation where everybody just simply rush and that sort of thing. It has to be coordinated. There has to be communication, so the communication channel has to be opened and clear. The message has to be clear as well. And there has to be a greater coordination between the disaster management committee of the communities where the people are coming from and the shelter management personnel of the community that they're going to be accommodated. That exercise itself, it broadens the base of shelter management, looking at evacuation as well, but importantly, how well you operate the shelters. So as I said, bearing in mind of specific needs of individuals and families and things of that nature. And clearly, to emphasize the need for a collaborative and team approach towards the execution of shelter management. I was taken aback to see the seriousness of the exercise, and I'm hoping that we can take back and sort of have it like a blueprint. Yes, so based on the lessons that we have learned from this experience, I'm sure we'll be able to better prepare, better coordinate shelter management activities island-wide, because of course there are going to be lessons learned from the experience, and all we are hoping to do is to get from these lessons learned to improve and to enhance and to better prepare our shelter management teams for future events that may impact the country.
And that was Glenroy Tuse. Housing Minister Reginald Austri says he's impressed by the level of improvement the housing stock has made in Dominica. He says apart from the resilient homes being built by government, private individuals are also building with resilience in mind, with concrete roofs and high-impact windows making government work much easier. He says overall government housing program is reaping great success. He was speaking to reporters on the Housing Recovery Project for Dominica.
I'm very happy that I can be the minister who's really overseeing this very dynamic housing program as being developed by the government, the Labour Party government. If we take it back from 2006 to now, that's what, 28 years. We've invested millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in housing. And while we've been criticized for it, what we believe that this expenditure is necessary, especially as it impacts on the ordinary man who could not have an opportunity even to build a home, to secure a mortgage, and to spend the extra money, because building resilience is not building the same type of home. It means putting the extra dollar, to put in the extra reinforcement, to put in the extra galvanized, the 24-gauge galvanized, those use galvanized, to do the concrete roofs. This costs extra money, maybe about a 10, 15, 20% more than it would have cost you if you just build in terms of the ordinary. So I cannot give you a direct figure now. There's so much that we have invested in housing as a government, but I can tell you it's really in the hundreds of millions of dollars that this government has spent in housing our people, and to ensure to make them, first of all, to make them comfortable, and secondly, to give them the resilience and the trust and the faith that they can withstand, or they can be safe in their homes and feel comfort in their homes during the passage of this natural disasters.
Austri was also quizzed by reporters on the situation in Point Michel with regards to housing for residents there.
The start of a home, or the start of homes, does not really begin with clearing of the land. It has a process through which it goes, and of course, as the Prime Minister say, that we will not allow any government structure to go up without planning permission, and that can take a little time. It goes back and forth, fix this, fix that, and so on. But as far as I'm concerned, all these projects have started. Some are a little more advanced than the others. As you know, we have limited amount of contractors. We may have a number of skilled workers and laborers, but limited contractors, and we have contractors doing 4 and 5 homes in one particular area. And never in the history of Dominica that contractors were so much in demand and getting work, and you can attest to that. You go around, you're a journalist, well, you're supposed to be going around the country and just don't listen to gossip and read and go on My Boy's Kitchen and listen to Q95 for news. That's not news, that's gossip. But if you want the real news, my brother, you have to go on the ground and you hear what's happening. You hear where we're building homes. Go and see and ask questions to the homeowners and to the contractors. There'll always be challenges when you're managing so many projects at one time. There'll always be challenges, and some of these may slow down. But if you use Joburg as an example, I mean, see how quickly we've moved to build 40 homes there to rehouse the people whose lands were acquired for the building of the international airport. So we've been doing well, and yes, we believe that sometimes we could move faster. Sometimes we believe there are things we can do to accelerate the process, but the process is continuing, and I'm hoping that following the passage of this budget, we can see an acceleration.
Government is expected to make available an additional 100 homes before the country enters midway into the hurricane season. We will bring you an update on the Pound area from the Minister of Housing, where housing is concerned for the people of Roseau. In news from the region, food security, energy security, and health security are among the key building blocks needed to overcome the current global challenges which threaten the which threaten the development of both the African continent and the Caribbean region. President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina, shared his view on as well as lessons from the Caribbean for the AFDB's experiences on Tuesday night in delivering the 2022 William G. Demas Memorial Lecture. The lecture, Development in a Context of Global Challenges, Experiences and Lessons from the African Development Bank, was part of the Caribbean Development Bank's 52nd annual meeting held in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And further afield on the international scene, the World Trade Organization members successfully concluded the 12th Ministerial Conference, the MC12, in Geneva on the 17th of June, securing multilaterally negotiated outcomes on a series of key trade initiatives. The Geneva package confirms the historical importance of the multilateral trading system and also underlines the important role of the WTO in addressing the world's most pressing issues, particularly at a time when global solutions are critical. That's the news this hour. On behalf of the entire news and production team and our sponsors, thanks for listening.
Want more value for money? We hear you, Dominica. For as low as $5, you can now activate a one-day Digicel Prime bundle and get unlimited Digi-to-Digi calls, 25 anywhere minutes, 1.5 gigs data to you.